as you might be able to tell from my face, this isn't a gameplay stream because there aren't cards on my face and I'm not a playmat. What we are doing instead is starting our first month in review, name TBD, sort of, in the works. My audio's always low. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I keep trying. Anyways, this is going to be our first month in review podcast where Cameron and I, Cameron here being somewhere over there, are going to be joined to my right. I'm not deep throating the mic. Joined by a rotating guest who you can see that way as Mr. Wedge. Why is my audio always so low? This is killing me inside.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that right now. I don't know.
All
Actually, right. Give me a second. Try saying something again.
Hi, am I louder now? Wait for the delay. Wait for the delay. It is not using my headset mic. This is actually picking up the mic that is mere inches from my face. And I have maxed out my volumes on it. I don't know what to tell you guys.
I got you bumped up by like 70%, so you should be.
I am 70% boosted. All right, audio is fine. I have one person confirming.
Maximum
As
boosted.
I was saying, this is the Month in Review podcast where Cameron over there joins me and a rotating third in a lewd way. That's Wedge.
Other side, right down.
We are, goddamn. I don't. Okay. We are going to talk about a variety of topics related to cEDH as they are covered in the last month. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we've done, some relevant events in the community, maybe some spoilers, maybe some review questions, maybe some viewer questions. I don't know. We're just going to talk about shit, and you're going to listen. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Cameron, yes. Would you like to lead us into our first topic?
Yeah. So as we're talking about a kind of month in review, it's nice to think back on some of the games that we played over the last month and how they might have adjusted our own like metagame or our decks or however we went in. And in Seattle, there's been a few groups of competitive EDH that have kind of spontaneously grown. And I went to a new one on Sunday mornings, and there were 4 people, and there were 2 Nexus Derevi decks.
Oh.
2?
Yeah, 2 out of 4 were Bant stacks with a Nexus of Fate combo win off of like Hermit Druid lines. And it was pretty solid. The only problem was Eidolon of Rhetoric really, really sucked when I was playing 4-color Rashmate.
You still get your draw every turn, I guess.
Yeah, but you need to actually have like mana out, and when they land a turn 2 Eidolon of Rhetoric and you don't have any mana acceleration, it's pretty bad.
That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. I did loan out my Nib Mizzet deck, and one of the guys switched over to Selvala in the same game. And there was a really interesting interaction where with Nib Mizzet on the stack, the Selvala player ended up cracking a memory jar. And the concern was if he had like Curiosity in his hand already, and if you crack the memory jar, it saved us for a turn. And so it was actually pretty interesting tech for anti-Niv Mizzet, and also kind of it screwed over Selvala, but it also stopped Niv Mizzet from comboing out right away. So
did he have the Curiosity in hand?
He didn't, but it was a concern. He had like 2 mana up, and it's like all he has to do is just cast it and have any other spell, and he wins.
Yeah.
So
by the way, I want to say that Niv Mizzet brew was pretty sweet.
Oh, it is fun. It is such a fun deck. I have 2 changes, or at least 1 change that's currently coming, and probably 2. So
nice.
Treasonous Ogre.
T-Bone?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
He is pretty good. Yeah, and red is really hard.
I guess he's not a mana dork. He's more like a mana thick.
Yeah. You just like
Lumberjack's probably. Oh, hang on. Like, let me try and fix my ascension.
Yeah.
Does waving my arms fix things?
Your face is a little weird, and it's just your face.
Always a little weird. Maybe it's just capturing me beyond my mask.
Yes, yes. The LSD is seen through on the camera.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's pretty fun. I've been really happy with it as like an Is It Scepter deck that all you have to do is land the commander and you dominate the board. You play
Yeah.
Niv-Mizzet and you're like, all right, I draw 15 cards by the time it comes around to my turn. I mean, and you don't really even care if he gets killed by that point.
It's a Mystic
You do
Remora
care
with
when he
wings.
gets gilded
Yeah.
draked, though.
You
Oof.
do care when it gets gilded drake. Yes. Very much so. Dan.
Hey, just
Oh, yeah,
just
go
cast
for it.
3 instants in response to the exchange trigger. Easy. Easy.
That'll
Come
do
on.
it. That'll do it.
Yes, that.
After your 6 drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have been playing more cEDH in paper than I have been online at this point. I now have 2 independent paper playgroups,
Oh.
which is pretty sweet. I have a group down in Sanford that I've been playing with. That's been awesome.
Nice.
They've slowly crept up from like a mid-power, high-power group
Mhm.
to a cEDH and play EDH high-power level decks, which is pretty awesome. I've really been enjoying that. I have been
Nice.
undefeated against them for a while. Tyler, one of our patrons, is in that group with me.
Oh,
Very cool.
And I finally took my first loss to his Kess deck
Oh.
over
What
the past
what cast deck is he jamming?
on a consultation build.
Smart
He's
choice.
dicked me over with Stranglehold a few times.
Okay. Very cool. What are you running in paper?
I've been playing. So I've mostly finished my Thrasios box of goodies, which is like 140, 150 cards that lets me switch between
A Gorilla
Shaper and
deck.
Sleepy's like Tainted Pact PST decks,
Very nice.
my slower High Tide PST decks, the Biopowers E-Man decks, and then a variety of in between those different speeds and builds of decks. So like I've got the Twister Loop stuff. I've got a couple of outlets in like Ballista and Lab Maniac. I have Tainted Pact mana base. I have High Tide mana base. I have Aetherflux Reservoir. I have Blind Obedience. I've just kind of got like everything I could possibly play
Yeah.
in Scepter Thrasios. So I've just been kind of swapping back and forth between that stuff. And
Sounds
I've also
super
been
fun.
yeah, I'm really enjoying having the ability to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also been jamming Lil Brother's Ye-Man list.
I don't.
And
Oh, is that not Yeheni,
Yenet.
Yenet, yeah.
Yeah, Yenet pile of staples, basically. And jury's still out on that. I'm not I want it to be good. Every time I played it, I just wished it was Xur.
Just
Which-
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the name for that deck should probably be like, I can't believe it's not Xur, because
Oh, you
it's
can
really
believe
is
it.
without Yenet.
Shuffle it up. You'll believe it's not Xur real fast. The keepable hands drops.
Hey, we
Because
mean this
you
in
can't
the
just
nicest
keep
way, brother. We love you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's fun.
Keep on brewing. Yeah.
It's just Necro in the command zone with Shimmer Mirrors. So fucking easy. I don't understand. So,
Got it.
anyways,
Got it.
have I continued to ascend? I should actually check out my video. Oh my god, this is amazing. I love it. I'm not paying Spectrum enough. Holy hell. This is actually the first time I've ever looked at what my video does when I keep looking at Vapor Dan or Ascended Dan. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This
Yeah.
is special. Thank you, Lurker. Okay. Oh my god. Alright. So it really is that emote. Alright, I'm gonna try and focus.
Yes.
So I've been jamming cEDH. That was the Sanford stuff. I also have been playing in paper at Game Theory. Shout outs to the people asking me in YouTube comments. Sorry, I was not paying attention to YouTube comments when he commented. Yes, I play at Game Theory. Hit me up on Facebook or on Discord or whatever, and we can add you to my personal paper Discord that I've built to start aggregating these people. But yeah, also playing at Game Theory, and we're actually starting to get the first feelers out for organizing a $100 budget CEDH tournament at Game Theory.
Oh, nice.
I'm working on setting it up. It's going to take a little bit to like get me ready, but yeah, I'm excited. The actual bullet point on our list though is talking about something you may have heard called Feels on Wheels, which is the very first. Oh yeah, that's you. Yeah. So yeah, hit me up after this if you want to join. Feels on Wheels is possibly my magnum opus. It is the most Dan deck that has ever been brewed by anybody. You may remember we had a community stream to kick off season 3 a while back, and to facilitate this, I put a poll out for my decks, and by far the most popular option was brew me some shit, daddy. And to brew you some shit, daddy, I got drunk, had 20 people or 8, 10, 12 people show up in chat, and we brewed around 4 random cards, which were Door to Nothingness.
World Gorger Dragon, Smothering Tithe, and Vesuvian. Volrath's Shapeshifter, yeah.
That's so
yeah. So we ended up on Scion, Scepter, Flash Hulk, Door, with no way to win with Door because we forgot it came into play tapped. All 14 of us forgot that it came into play tapped and had no way of untapping it. So we were mostly on Scepter Niv from Scion.
Yeah.
But the real story of this is that it is at 100% win rate in cEDH because Siggy decided to be stupid and punt horrendously in game 1 of the stream because I had a Kozilek that was a remnant of a different line that we had tried, and I don't think actually belonged in the final deck.
You still had Breakfast. You still had Shuffle Hook in the deck.
I thought we cut the Shuffle Hook combos.
No, it was still in there.
This is what I remember. I was feeling it the next day.
Yeah. No, but, you were definitely still on Shuffle Hook.
All right. So, anyways, we had Shuffle Hook combos, and Siggy, bless his heart, didn't leave himself out to a Titan. So he decked everybody, including himself, and then died to his draw step while I had a full deck and nothing in board or hand. It was cleanest and most well-deserved victory I have ever had in this format, and you can quote me on that.
just retire the deck and you'll have a 100%.
I have.
Okay.
To be honest, coming out of that deck, I actually really do like part of it. So there's Scion of the Ur-Dragon, and you use the Teamer Flash Hulk pile, which just is Incubation Druid, Vigian, Graft Mage, and Torch Courier to get you infinite mana. Mm-hmm. And you Flash Hulk for infinite mana, then you cast Scion, and you turn him into Niv-Mizzet Draco Genius, who is just a mana dump for damage that can also draw you cards. So if you're just playing 5 colors, it's actually a pretty nice non-standard commander that's also just an infinite out for the win. It just happens to be your win off of a Flash Hulk.
Yeah, like the concept was a meme version of Hermit Scion.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Where we swapped out stuff for Scepter combo plus shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, Hermit Scion's still probably a functional deck. It's just worse than Food Chain Tazri or Food Chain Niv at the same stuff. But
yeah,
it's definitely playable. I mean, you submitted that as a budget build for the Spike Feeders contest, didn't you?
Yeah, and it actually turned out fairly well at $75. Like it was actually surprisingly playable as a budget cEDH Flash deck.
5-color Flash Hulk as a budget deck. That's special.
It did okay. So, I'm happy with it.
That's Feels on Wheels in Dan's month of cEDH. How about you, Wedge?
So it's been a minute since I've been playing paper games, but actually starting this month, I've had about 3 meetups since the beginning of the month. So it's been nice to kind of get back into it. And the game's been fun. I've mostly been playing Kess Consultation a lot. I've actually recently assembled Opus Thief. which is a brew that Shaper made a while back, and it's pretty much it's a 4-color deck that's Tymna Crown that is jams all of the kind of like anything that has like a wheel payoff effect. Ever since Smothering Tithe got printed, pretty much like now you have like a decent density of like wheel outlets. And so this is just a deck that just jams all of that together, and I've been having a blast with it because I've like recently like retired from playing Storm with Kess and have kind of gone all the way to console. And so playing like Opus Thief has kind of like it's got that very reminiscent like feeling of Storm. Mostly because it's kind of like, like when you storm off, you have, the way you storm off, you usually have to do like one of like 4 things, and that's either like you resolve an ad nauseum, or you play a Necropotence, or you play a graveyard full of stuff with the Yawgmoth's Will, or you play a Notion Wheel. And that deck has all of those put in together, and it just has like a higher density of it. So it's like your ability to just kind of just go off is just like heightened. And then also, if you want to grind out value, like Tymna and Crown put in some work.
They do.
I've gotten dunked on by a Crown before.
My very first my very first game playing with the Opus Thief, I got to resolve like a turn 3 like Smothering Tithe, and then it was just like the game was just over at that point. I had like 2 wheels with like counterspell backup, and like one of my wheels got countered. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play Winds of Change and just draw and just like make like 21 mana, and then just like spit out my board and just like essentially outvalue everybody, or put myself in a position where it's like you guys just can't come back from it. I've had a lot of great success with it so far. Like it can play really grindy, but then you can also play really quick. It's super easy to just go like hey, end of turn 2 Notion Thief, the Dark Ritual Notion Thief, untap, wheel turn 3, not like nothing too crazy.
That seems pretty good.
So I've been playing that a lot. And like the pods have been really good too. I recently got one of my friends, roguelike dev. He's on the Discords. He plays Blood Pod a lot, but we recently got him to assemble Najeela, and that has been super sweet. Mostly because like I don't have to play against Blood Pot all the time.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You wait until Lurker and I finish up our Blood Pot Najeela deck.
Oh man. Oh man. I have enough. I've seen enough Najeela monstrosities for Lifetime. But yeah, so like he's been playing Najeela, and like literally he's been just seeing like immediate like success, just like jamming the deck. It's a really, the deck's freaking great. It's like
is he on something like Pongo's tempo list?
Oh yeah, that's so sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's so sweet.
I love that list so much.
Yeah, he's using that one card for card right now, and until he gets a feel for like what he wants to change out of it or not change out of it. So like he's been jamming Najeela. We actually had a new guy who just moved to the state, and he jams like traditional like Zur, like Doomsday Zur. But he hadn't like really played cEDH like very much for like quite a while. So like when he's doing things like resolving a Doomsday, and he's like, "All right, hey, can you guys help me do this Doomsday pile?" We have some fun times with that. I always love like just kind of like figuring out, even when I'm not playing the Doomsday. So it's kind of cool. Where like usually they're like, "Hey, Wedge, can you figure this out?" Like, yeah, easy. And then sometimes it takes like 20 minutes, and then everybody hates me. Whatever.
Yeah. I've definitely been in those spots before where they're like, I'm like 99% sure I have a win with Doomsday, but I don't know how to get here. Can you guys help me? And I've totally been there.
Yep. So I've been jamming a lot of games with that. We've actually had some really cool, interesting pods where we've had things like it's like Najeela, Zur, Kess, and like Razakats like all at one table, and that like those pods were like super fun, like super interactive. Everybody's kind of geared to be able to play like a kind of a mid-rangey grind if it gets to that point. So it was like it rarely felt like anyone was out of the game at any point. And like a lot of good counter wars. And then sometimes I would be jamming Opus Thief. I did get to do a win recently with it where I got to win with like Mnemonic Betrayal, and
that card so good.
It's like when that card works, it works.
Yeah.
I had yet to run into that. I was so hyped for that card.
Yeah.
And I've cut it from everything because it's always been utter shit for me.
So if you are in a mid-range meta, it is in its best spot. And if you're not like constantly playing against mid-range decks where you're planning on getting to turn 7, 8, or 9 regularly, which most if you're in a balanced pod, you will get there. And then you're looking at like somebody's done a deluge, we've nuked a few artifacts, somebody's wheeled, and then you're
someone's misstepped a carpet or a remora or something.
Yeah, and then you're just like mnemonic trail, cast a soul ring, cast a carpet of flowers, cast a sylvan library, move to next main phase. You get 5 mana from your carpet, you then cast a few more rocks, and you're just like, sure, let's do it.
Seems good.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's like the floor, like mid game, it's like it's a value train, and then like the ceiling is like, oh, you just win.
Yeah.
So
the downside is that if you're in a really heavy combo meta, then it just really isn't in its spot there.
Yeah, it really depends. What was I gonna say? That card's just been super sweet. And when darn, I totally lost my train of thought. Whatever, continue.
I really loved it. I had it in Tassiger, but the people that I'm playing against, it's not in that level of the meta. When I played in paper, most of the people I'm playing against are either on like monocolored decks or they're on more on the budget side of things, and so it's not really. Gas out of it. Yeah, you get a lot less gas out of it.
Yeah, I kind of consider it almost like how I was talking about with Opus Thief, that it's like, you have like your wheel payoffs, and like that card I would classify like under like the wheel payoff like category.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like after playing like a couple games a bit, I kind of feel like Mnemonic Betrayal is probably better than like Waste Not. Waste Not's has been pretty medium. Of a card.
I've been doing Opus Thief as well, and I can definitely I can agree with that kind of a side grade. It depends on the meta, but the ceiling on Betrayal is so much better than Waste Nots.
Yeah, we've I was talking with Shaper the other day, and like we were kind of thinking about like with the new Narset Planeswalker, probably either swapping Waste Not out for that, or just or whatever, just try to jam all of them, just kind of see what works, what doesn't work. But I think if there's like a wheel outlet card that would be cut, I think Waste Not would probably be the first to go. If that already is that point.
I can feel that too.
Yeah. But and also this weekend we have like just to finish off my little month in review for games. This weekend we're going to be jamming. There's going to be like, I think we're going to have like 2 full pods firing off, which is pretty exciting.
Nice.
It's been a minute since our last like 2 pod fire off, because like we all live in I live in the Bay Area, and it's like everyone is like super spread out, where it's like, you have some people who are like an hour and a half north of San Francisco. You have people who are like an hour and a half south of San Francisco, and then nobody wants to drive to San Francisco either on the weekend.
Yeah.
And so you also try to find like logical meetup spots, and everyone's just so spread out. It's not very easy to to orchestrate meetups. So I try my best, but this weekend's pretty exciting because we get 2 full pods, and it's gonna be a pretty sweet meta that'll turn out. But yeah, otherwise that's been it for me.
Nice. No, that sounds really fun. I know I've really appreciated the regional discords for getting games together or meeting up for events for cEDH. And I definitely encourage people that if you're wanting to find games in your area, trying to find the regional one. So I know there's a West Coast, but there's really only like Washington and North California and South California. There's not really an Oregon in there right now. And then
sadly haven't seen a lot of people asking about that.
There's been like 1 or 2 in Portland area, but I don't know if there's enough to really get a metagame going there.
Right.
And then I know there's an East Coast one as well. And there's I know when I have made a trip over to New York, I did actually stop at a shop, and we got 4 people to show up, and we played.
Nice.
We played for like 3-4 hours. Had some good games in there.
Nice.
Actually, I met Tyler, who's part of Dan's play group, before he moved down to
Sanford.
Sanford.
Wow.
Yeah, he was up in New York for a bit. So that was
Very
cool. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty fun month there. We also had some events that went on over the last month. There was the Spike Feeders tournament. That was
just showed up in chat.
Hey. Yeah, no, the tournament was actually really good. We had it was 2 days. I didn't get to watch all of it, but they recorded the games with live commentary and then played them back afterwards, so there wasn't any like metagaming you could do from watching the stream. They did a really great job with that. I was super excited about how well that went. Though the downside with that was that the commentary the commentary really wasn't interacting with chat. That was my biggest complaint about doing it that way. So when there were things that were said that like weren't exactly accurate by the commentators, normally in an event, the chat kind of picks up for that.
On people.
Yeah.
The classic Twitch chat.
Oh yeah. But it's all good. I really enjoyed how it went. Yeah, did either of you guys watch the tournament at all?
I saw the finals of the tournament.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, shout outs to Sick Robot for taking the whole thing. Good job, you.
Shuffle Hulk.
Taking names, and then the other and then also congrats for the other final 4. Bobby, insert clever phrase, and Pathragus.
Yeah, Pathragrass, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, good job to all you guys for making the final pod, and obviously Sick Robot, thanks for good job taking the whole thing.
Yeah, Shuffle Hulk is super sweet. He's been doing a lot to work on it. There was just a primer posted. And
finally finished.
I believe, yeah, it was posted like within the last week. I think maybe 2 weeks.
No more soon, just now.
Yeah. And then, spoiler alert, we recorded a deck tech with him, and that should be coming out.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Months
ago, you say?
Yes, we recorded it months ago.
Like 6.
But it got edited, and it should be coming up here in just a little bit, and it'll be coming out.
That's exciting. I cannot wait to...
It's going to be our next video after the War set review.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So much content on the way. I can't wait.
Yes.
It's amazing what happens when we don't lose all of our gameplays constantly all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's been a big challenge. Dan, your volume's still low. I think you're just not talking.
I don't know what I can do about this at this point.
Yeah.
Let me try and boost it more.
Yeah, if you go into Windows, it might be lowering the volume.
I've already boosted my volume. Here, now I'm at a 70% boost, not a 50%.
Bump it up to 100.
Bumping it up to 100. My video is perfect, thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, so the final pod was actually a really solid pod.
How about now?
You're good from my side of things. Yeah, so Shuffle Hulk, Scepter Thrasios, Godo Helm, and then a Thrasios Vile Smasher mid-range deck. Not quite 4-color Rashmi. It was his own brew from Pathragrass. All of it looks really solid. Now, in the top 16, there were some questionable decks. Which, I mean, that always happens when you're going into like a blind meta and you've got some things that are just kind of like, what exactly is going on here? Like we had a Kalia deck. I just pulled it up on the screen. That's just, it's interesting. Not my take on a deck. I wouldn't do that.
What a gentle way of saying.
We had Vanifar.
I anticipate multiple wall attacks coming soon.
Yes.
Not yeah. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have your spicy decks, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's a pretty solid number of like on meta decks. Like, of course, like just kind of looking at top 16, you have Najeela combo, Get Rog Monster, Sacred Hulk, another Najeela. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, and there was Yidris. I mean, that's not really meta, but I mean, whatever. Another Get
Yidris
Rog
sucks.
Yeah, another Get Rog Monster. And then I think if we look at the rest of the whole list of entrants, there's a pretty good number of like rank and file, like like, hey, these are some cEDH decks. But you're gonna have like your Kalias and your other like experimental brews. But people want to see how they want to see exactly how their deck is gonna perform in a blind meta. And just try to see how far they can take it. EDH is kind of like the form. It's like EDH is like the snowflake format, and then cEDH is like people who play cEDH are like they want to be a snowflake within the snowflake format. So they're like, hey, that that deck that you like to play against, I'm gonna play a worse version of it because I want to. That's just
I totally get you.
I mean, like I was talking to Spleen about his Vannifar deck, and he like his reasonings for wanting to jam that deck versus like another deck that that he like regularly plays or whatever. Like he thought the deck was explosive enough to where like he can try to jam out like a turn 3 win on it, and also just he wanted to see how well it did. And then I know like other decks, like I know like that there's some people like trying to jam like I think there was other people jamming Niv Mizzet, and then like some people were like jamming like Psy Master Thopterus, and they just kind of want to try like see how they perform, that kind of stuff. But
some of the decks, they were definitely spicy, and I appreciated them, but at the same time, you just have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Just like Dan's video right now, going totally LSD'd out.
Are you kidding me? This is my natural form. I always look blue,
so
and slightly oversaturated.
I definitely appreciate trying to mix up the meta. I think we have a ways to go for play design to make mono white and Civi actually work in a blind meta.
Yeah, that's there's some spice here. Then there's like whatever the word beyond spicy is.
Garbage. I mean, it's garbage.
Your words.
You can direct all hateful DMs to me, not Cameron, not Wedge. I'm the one saying your deck sucks. You can just send that to me.
So, all in all, I really appreciated that it happened. I would like to caution people that it only took one win to get into the top 16. And one of the challenges with a unbalanced table is that if you have 2 cEDH decks and then you have like 2 battle cruiser decks, or you have like 3 and 1, it's very common for the cEDH decks just to like beat each other out and stall each other out, and then the other deck just is playing a different game, and because they're playing a different game, they can just win out of nowhere because they're like, yeah, I just made a board of like 5/5s and I swung at everybody, and everybody has stack interaction and they can't really deal with the fact that you have 5 5/5s and you're just take 25.
It's the inverse pub stomp problem. It's why my Gishath and Azuri lists were like undefeated in Control Winter on Trice. They were garbage. But they just presented like small shit that attacked you, and everyone was playing Rashmi and Baral, so their decks did nothing, and they just lost to random 4/5s.
Exactly.
Like, it's an inbred meta at some point.
That reminds me of this classic
which
example
is why casual decks win.
When Two Hand Touch and ASM and I met for the first time, we met at GP San Jose, and we decided like try and get like some commander pods, and we played against this guy. He's like, hey, you guys want to play commanders? Like, yeah, we played pretty competitively, so be prepared for that. You all right with that? It's like, oh yeah, I've got this, and like he slaps down Rune of the Hidden Realm, and we're like, oh, okay, and like this is like 2016 where it's like 2 hands running Tazri. I'm on Grixis Twin, and ASM is on like the newly like hot like Selvala, and so like we're all like interacting with each other trying to stop ASM from winning all the time,
Mhm.
and like we wrap the board, we do all this crazy interaction stuff, and then it's like, oh, we get beat by blinking 4/4s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Happens so many times. This happened at GP Portland. Exact same thing.
Yeah,
I was just like, okay, what are you gonna do? It's just the fact. That's the way it works, and it makes it so you got to take your licks, and you just know it's gonna happen sometime.
Yep. But the overall though, the tournament looked really great. It was run really nicely. My only regrets, I just wish that there were more people who entered. I mean, I'm a perpetrator, but I didn't enter the tournament. And I should have. I know I should have, but for shame.
Yeah, I did not either.
More entrants would have been pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was like when people were like garnering interest, like there was almost like an estimated like almost up to 60 players like interested, but ultimately it came down to like only like 30 32 or something like that.
Yeah, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, that's really great. Yeah, it's like, man, I would the dreams of having like a 64 man like cEDH tournament, that just sounds, that's the dream.
Yeah, I couldn't dedicate the entire weekend to it at the time, and my Saturday was entirely booked up, and then I was like, I can't do Saturday, so I can't do Sunday, and but I was excited to watch it when I could.
Yeah, the finals was really cool to watch for sure.
Anything else? So the last month we have a new set coming out.
Woo! And boy, is it a set.
Oh man, I am so appreciating play design.
I'm at a hard stamp. Best set since Return to Ravnica.
So the thing that they have been doing that I've really appreciated is that they have been making a balanced high power set.
Yep.
And so the big thing from Amonkhet and Ixalan, they did some weird things. Like, I mean, Ixalan, you've got vampire conquistadors, you've got dinosaurs, you've got mermaids, and you've got pirates. Sure, it's a giant mess of everything, but they made it work, but it was lower power.
Yep.
I think partially because they weren't involved in Ixalan from exploratory design.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the transition set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Ixalan sucked.
The same thing happened in Amonkhet. Like, stuff just wasn't at the same power level. And now stuff is looking a lot stronger in general. You have more options. I mean, even just look at like draft from the Ravnica allegiances. It's just like, not only do you have the guilds, you have 5 guilds, you have some specific decks within those, but then there's also like a 6th guild in Gates, and you've got an 8/8 Colossus that just comes back when you play a land. They've been making themes feel a lot more cohesive across the set. I mean, so like what they've done with legendaries in Dominaria, they did with Guild Gates in Ravnica, and now in War of the Spark, Planeswalkers. Oh man.
Yeah.
So we wanted to try to limit how much we're talking about War of the Spark.
Especially because I'm about to do a full set review in 2 days on it, which is going to take us like 3 hours. There's so many cards to talk about.
Oh yeah.
For once.
So let's go here. War of the Spark. Wedge, do you want to take us away on Jace, Wielder of Mysteries?
Yes. So Jace, Wielder of Mysteries is pretty cool. It's a 3 blue and 1, and it reads, "I'm a lab maniac," and its +1 is a Thought Scour, and then its minus is a draw a bunch of cards, and then also keep the Lab Man clause at the same time. Why I'm excited about that card, is its applications in Consultation Kess.
Ooh.
So Consultation Kess has had this big problem since its inception of like, what do you do as like a plan B for your deck? Like, because when you play the deck, you're all banking on winning through like Labman, and it's like, well, there's the meme of, well, what happens if you lose your Labman, which happens. And so some like a lot of the like the current I think like the current primer that like Redshift did, by the way, good job on the primer, is like they use an alternative of Isochron Scepter, with dramatic reversal, and then play an outlet of some sort to close out the game as a plan B. That's not so great in the long run because you're doing a 3-card combo that doesn't quite use your command zone. Like you could do like Scepter reversal into Kess and then play a tutor from your yard, and that's kind of like a 3-card combo. But it's kind of it's like a 3.5, it's like a 2.5-ish. I don't know, but it's not great. And not to mention, if you to have an outlet, like you have to play like Sensei's Divining Top, which we already do, but then like they also run things like Silent Gravestone, which in the grand scheme of like kind of like the overall like cEDH like meta, Silent Gravestone doesn't really stop a lot. Like it doesn't affect Frog in any way, and it doesn't affect like the current versions of like Hulk, like Shuffle Hulk and Sacred Hulk, really at all. So Silent Gravestone, like they use that as like an outlet, so it's not that great. But anyways, I'm trailing off on here. But so that win con as a plan B, not great. Jace lets you be a good plan B, because it's the same win con as what you're already playing. So a second Labman. On top of that, you can win with just Jace and Consultation or Tainted Pact because Jace has a built-in draw effect on him. So like now you also have a win con that doesn't necessarily need Kess in play, and that's always been a big problem where like when you play against Kess Consultation, you kind of try to treat like Kess almost like a Zur, like blow it up on sight, don't let them untap with it because the chances of them just trying to go off with through it are pretty high. So like having a win con that doesn't rely on having Kess in play is really nice. And then also like the kind of the applications of having this new Jace. You get to cut Isochron Scepter, you get to cut Silent Gravestone. That frees up some slots, so you can add more sweet stuff, like stuff from the new set. Specifically Narcissus Reversal, because that card looks busted.
Don't you take my spot.
I'm not gonna talk about it, I promise. I'm just saying you would put you get rid of that Silent Gravestone, you put that in the garbage can where it belongs, pull out that nice little new toy from War of the Spark.
Oh man.
And you have a good time. So like playing this new Jace is like real, like it's kind of like reinvigorated my interest in Consultation. And I've been having a blast with it. I've been seeing immediate results with it. Nice. Where like I've been closing out games with Jace. Like literally, like I think my first game, I was able to just win through, win with the Jason play, no problem. And I so far so good. The other Kess Consultation pilots have been jamming it, and they think it's fantastic in the list so far. So I think it's going to be here to stay. In terms of like applications for other decks, though, I don't think I can feasibly see it being run in another deck besides Kess. So like in the grand scheme of things, like it's like maybe at best I would see it in some sort of like Timna Crown like Consultation like control list, as like, hey, you want a second Labman, so that's not your only out. But I kind of also think that when you're playing like that kind of list, where you're playing like a grindy list, you might be using like other win methods such as like Mnemonic Betrayal or whatever.
Yeah.
But so like I think that its home currently is definitely going to be like Kess, and I don't think it's going to find a home really anywhere else. Maybe some weird humility spicy list, because everyone and their mom is trying to put in humility into a deck right now.
It shuts off the format.
A little, yeah. And so Jace gets out under that kind of. I mean, so yeah. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, my biggest concern about him is the triple blue and the cost, which I mean most most decks right now are blue black X, and even though you're Kess, you're barely hitting red, and you're only hitting like one red ever.
Yeah, we've with the current like Kess land base, only three mana sources do not generate blue.
Yeah,
everything.
That's what I expect.
Which it's like literally like Swamp / Blood Crypt, Ancient Tomb, and I think Gemstone Caverns, maybe. But anyways, so you say like, hey, that triple blue is kind of taxing. When you think about it, it's not like too terrible, because if you were gonna win with like Labman plus Cantrip plus Consultation, you're already gonna spend 2 blue. So it's like what's one more blue between friends?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But
and you do get the opportunity to draw a card off of it, and if you're playing Kess, you have the option of milling yourself to get more cards in your bin. Yeah, and your Consultation Kesses, are you still on Doomsday at all, or has that been pulled out?
You can't do that because you're running a tainted pack land base, so everything's singleton.
Okay.
So you're
not going Gush. Yeah.
I mean, you can play garbage Doomsday piles, but
they would
none
not
of the
be
good ones are viable.
Yeah.
I've actually brewed a very, very spicy a Doomsday deck with Consultation and Tainted Pack with a Tainted Pack land base, using those really bad blue black duels.
Lands. Oh
because to increase my island count.
The BFZ duels, the Amonkhet duels.
Yeah, because the whole problem with not being able to run Doomsday in a Consultation list is because you don't have enough islands to make Gush relevant. So the list is bad, but ever since Jace was spoiled, like I have no ever inkling to re-explore that spicy trash brew. So.
Yeah.
A good way to summarize it.
Yeah,
I can totally understand that.
And so, Cameron, what is your card?
We're talking Ashiok. Ashiok Dream Render. Oh my gosh, the amount of amazing 3-mana walkers is crazy. The more relevant half of Stranglehold in better colors, that's one-sided, and Gravehate, like, this is everything, and it's uncommon. Like, this is not a $10 mythic or a $10 rare sideboard card. This is an uncommon. They're pre-ordering for like $150, and this is like one of the.
My portals are gonna be 5s.
Yeah, like
so all 5.
I am so excited about this as a walker. It's just like it shuts down fetchlands. It shuts down tutors. It shuts down any sort of. Shuts down Hulk. The abilities you can't search your library with abilities. Okay. And then, target player mills for and exile all opponents' graveyards.
One-sided.
It's so good.
Yeah. So we're so now here's like a big question that a lot of people are thinking or have been talking about, like, where does this card fit into? Where is it a slam dunk in? So I want to try it out in Kess Console.
So the fact that it shuts down tutors in a one-sided manner means this could literally go in almost any blue-black X deck. And 100% this is looking at Tasigur. I'm 100% looking at it here. I'm just not sure if I'm replacing Shadow of Doubt or if I'm replacing Counterbalance. But both of them are in the same spot where the better part of Shadow of Doubt is that you've got the gotcha where it can act as a counter spell, but it doesn't actually remove graveyards. And it with Ashiok, they kind of just have to like they have to beat it down, and so it has a lifespan. It's not going to be there for forever, but that's really what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get time until you can establish a resource advantage.
Yeah, I would say probably any type of bug deck, something where you have relevant blockers to protect it, because it's that's where it gets a little awkward for kind of the Grixis and Esper decks like Zur and Kess and kind of stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, you can jam this, but it's how long is it going to be around for? But
yeah. Oh, 100%.
As I've been saying in chat, I think it mostly belongs in slower mid-range decks, so
Yep.
primarily man model stuff or Clasm control decks that
Mhm.
are going to be able to defend it with creatures like Thrasios, which are very effective blockers,
Mhm.
or a density of Pyroclasms,
Yeah.
like
Like some sort of Crown X list or
yeah,
something.
Tymna Crown or Thrasios Vial Smasher decks that are running Clasm control. It is not a slam dunk anywhere, I think, because it is a difficult to defend effect.
Right.
Like it is going to die
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
dorks if you
100%.
don't
It's
protect
dying.
it.
Yeah.
So it needs to be set up in a way that you can maintain it. So it's like every stacks piece nowadays. It is a good tempo play, but
Yes.
it's a tempo play that is easily answered unless you prepare for it.
Yeah.
Differently than just sticking a stranglehold would be.
Yep.
100%. Yeah.
But I do think it deserves play in multiple blue-black X or XY
Yeah.
mid-range decks like E-Man, like TNK, or like Kess, Clasm Control kind of decks.
4-color
And
Rashmi.
I think it is going to shine in those decks, and I think it's probably not going to be worth a slot in the faster PST decks, in the Zers, in the so on.
Yeah, I think when you have access to like Mind Sensor, like there's kind of, I mean, like if you're kind of like hedging between like those two, like there's definitely like you definitely want to run Mind Sensor, I think, before you run this card, but
Mind Sensor giving you Tymna draws and so on is also pretty relevant, and not being able to attack it like this ain't Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So it is safer in that sense. It also dies to I love the tension on these minus only Planeswalker stacks pieces because they are not free.
Yes.
They are incredibly powerful, but
Yep.
they require setup, they require protection, and you have to justify their place.
I really love the way that they're designed.
Yeah,
really
this is what I love about the current design direction that Wizards has taken. But that's kind of off topic, but oh my god, I love what they're doing.
Yeah. So the other part is that if you have any sort of efficient blocker and all they have are your normal mana dorks that you normally have Tymna running forward, it sticks around longer, because if they do send like Tymna and a mana dork at it, you get to eat the mana dork. So you have the additional thing where if they really need it gone, there's a good chance that you are taking some sort of resource out when they attempt to kill Ashiok, which I'm pretty excited about.
I heard 4/5 blockers are pretty decent.
Yeah.
Some would say. I'm also partial to 3/4 cats.
Yeah. They are pretty good too.
Absolutely.
So is it my turn now?
Yeah. Yeah. Which one do you got?
Hey guys, so you know how Counterspell is kind of a good card?
Yeah.
What if I told you that your Counterspell could counter uncounterable spells and also win you the game on the spot half the time? Maybe not half the time. A quarter of the time? Third of the time? Would you play a card that said unsubstantiate, also win the game if you win 2 coin flips in a row?
Dan, what card are you talking about?
I'm talking about Narset's Reversal, which is a recently spoiled, like yesterday spoiled, I think, UU counterspell that is
so good,
mind-blowingly powerful.
Yes.
And despite people thinking this card is good, I think they're still sleeping on it.
Oh, yeah.
Worst case scenario, this is basically a remand that is specifically only for instants and sorceries.
Yes.
So it is a cantripping counterspell for blue. Like worst case scenario. Going up from there, it is a UU counterspell that searches your library for a card and puts it into your hand. Or it is a UU counterspell that counters an abrupt decay and also yoinks your opponent's curse totem. Going up from that, it is a counterspell that draws you 30 cards. Going up from that, it is a counterspell that literally wins you the game by putting your Hulk into play and killing it.
Yes.
The ceiling on this card is the highest ceiling on any counterspell that has ever been printed. It will win the game on the spot with setup, bar nothing. Mana drain is significantly lower a ceiling than this card. it has a higher floor because it is still a hard counterspell that produces mana, which is like great.
Yes.
And the floor on Narset's Reversal is still only Remand, which is a minorly played fringe card at best.
Yeah. It's a remand that doesn't draw you a card.
Sometimes it actually often will just be a remand that draws you a card. Like in the bad case scenarios, I think, because you just like counter a Ponder or counter a Brainstorm.
True.
If you're like really going hard for tempo.
I mean, if you're in a counterspell war, then it's just a remand that doesn't draw you a card.
Yeah. I mean, which is fine. Like that's not a bad place to be. So
there's some cheeky stuff you can do with this card.
Yeah, I love this card. There are so many things that it can do. It sets up protected Isochron Scepter lines. You can imprint this and still go off with Dramatic Reversal, but not exile your Dramatic Reversal if someone had removal for the Scepter. You can, I mean, like I mentioned, you can just copy someone's flash and win the game with Shuffle Hulk in response to them trying to win the game with Shuffle Hulk in response to some other schmuck trying to win the game with Ad Nauseam or some sort of right? Like a Twister with no shit. It is insane how strong this card ceiling can be. And while you want to explain? Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the way it is a counterspell for counterspells, as Lurker mentioned, because this is like some of the misdirection quirky counterspell. So you can bounce so let's say I cast a flash. I'm trying to resolve this flash. I'm never casting flash. I cast an Ad Nauseam. I'm trying to resolve Ad Nauseam. You respond with a Mana Drain. I'm like, oh, fuck that. I don't want you to Mana Drain my Ad Nauseam, but I don't have any counterspells in hand. But I do have a Narset's Reversal. So I'm going to cast Narset's Reversal. I'm going to target your Mana Drain. That returns your Mana Drain to your hand. And to clarify, when a spell is removed from the stack, the effect does not resolve. If the spell being cast puts other triggers on the stack, those will resolve, but the card itself returning to your hand from the stack will not be a resolved spell at any point during this stack. So I then put a copy of Mana Drain on the stack as per the second bit of Narset's Reversal. Now I don't want to target my Ad Nauseam because that counters it, but I can direct my Mana Drain to counter the Narset's Reversal.
Because Narset's Reversal is still on the stack at the point that you're putting your Mana Drain on the stack.
Exactly. So Narset's Reversal will finish resolving and go to the graveyard. Mana Drain will have no target and will fizzle, and Ad Nauseam will resolve.
And then on your next main phase, you'll get 2 whole manas.
Yeah, also that. I mean, you can also reversal your Ad Naus, but I actually don't love that one because reversaling the drain in this case gets you mana.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. And also, I'm not going to reversal my Ad Naus. I'm not going to let other people reversal my reversaled Ad Naus. It's fine. Regardless. The point is you can counter spells by redirecting the copy of the counter spell to the reversal. Yep. Or you can like dump on somebody with some cute tricks and counter a counter spell that was targeting something else, and there's like nonsense. But whatever.
Yeah, you can do like
the point is,
you can do some cute things like bounce a Fluster Storm, and then copy it, and then just counter all the spells on the stack or something like that.
Do you cast the copy? Oh man,
you do not cast the copy.
You don't get the storm trigger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I read it at first, I thought you cast the copy, and I was like, oh my god, this card actually does everything. It counters Flusterstorm too, but no, it doesn't cast the copy. It just copies it, so you do not get a storm trigger. So
go ahead. Sorry.
Go on. I was going to say you can't reversal someone else's storm card and try and get a trigger off of it, but it still does the unsubstantiate tricks with your own Mind's Desire by bouncing the original spell, leaving the storm copies, and letting you recast it.
Very cool.
I'm excited. I'm super excited about this as like an additional random piece of Ral Zarek Storm combo. Well, so it's in a niche area for like divergent transformation decks where you have no creatures and you need a creatureless win con. New Ral, this, and an expansion explosion make it so you kind of have a win con in itself that is really sweet. And previously that would have been Twin Cast, but Narset's Reversal is just so much better than Twin Cast would ever be.
but playable in our format.
Yeah. And so it like makes an additional combo line with cards that are kind of on the fringe. They're sometimes very playable, sometimes not.
Kind of on the fringe.
They're
Those are
fun.
like maybe almost to the fringe.
That's true, but then they work together in a way that's actually pretty fun. So I'm excited for that. And
yeah, there's so many applications.
Yeah, this is a pretty great card. Again, play design. You guys are doing great. Love your work.
One, you know, like you were kind of saying, like, hey, you know, you could also, you know, you can also play Narcissus Reversal on your own win con, you know, and you're saying that wasn't too appealing. But like for win cons where it's like the converted mana cost of the card is like really cheap, you know, doing something like, let's say I'm on Razakats and, you know, I play my reanimate targeting my Razakat, and someone's going to try to counter that, you know, like it's not, you know, not necessarily incorrect to just, you know, Narcissus Reversal my reanimate back to my hand, get a copy of it, and then if they have another counter for it, then it's like, okay, well, I'll just reanimate again, you know, like right after.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, get your copies now.
Yeah.
Right.
They're worth
if Smothering Tithe spiked, this card's going up.
Yeah.
Did Smothering Tithe spike?
Yeah, it's pretty like sure. $10 now.
Oh,
yeah.
Shoot.
I'm glad I bought like 3 when they were $3.
You know what's here's a question for you guys. Did you guys ever expect for there to be another relevant counterspell that was like 2 CMC or lower, like since Swan Song? Like,
yes, because play design has actually been going hard in that niche function space. So I actually expect to see more cards like Swan Song in the next 5 years than in the past 5 years.
It's crazy because we got 2 in this set.
Yeah,
we have Dovan's Veto and this. It's like, ugh,
this set is off the charts. This is the best set I have seen since Return to Ravnica.
Oh yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah. Definitely.
Individually, yeah, maybe Kaladesh or maybe Khans had individually higher power cards because like fucking Treasure Cruise. Come on, Wizards. But the density of good, playable, and potentially playable cards in this set is bananas.
It is. It 100% is. You know, before we move on from Narcissus Reversal, I want to ask you guys a question. So, you know, like this card sounds like, you know, slam dunk, play it in just about any deck that runs blue. It's like, where do you guys think this like ranks up along with like the other kind of counter spells and interaction in the format? Like, so, you know, like when you build like a counter spell suite or an interaction suite, you know, you're going to be like, all right, hey, I'm going to be jamming Mana Drain, I'm going to jam Force of Will, I'm going to jam Mental Misstep, I'm going to jam Swan Song, like, you know, like those, you know, like those counter spells, like, hey, I'm always going to run those because they're just too good to not run. So it's like, where do you think the line is for Narcissus Reversal? Like, do you play this before you play Delay? Do you play this before you play Counterspell? Do you play this, you know, like, what's your guys' opinion on it?
I would play it before I would look at really hard at Negate, and I would look really hard at Delay for sure. I think I like this a lot more than I like Delay. Debating on the deck, if there was Negate or Dispel, I would probably replace one of those with this. And it kind of depends how deep you already are on counterspells in the deck.
Okay. I will be playing this. So if my order is Force, Pact, Misstep, Swan Song,
Mana Drain,
this is going to be my number 6.
That makes
This is going to come before Dispel. This is going to come before Negate, Counterspell, Spell Pierce. This is going to be before every counterspell that costs me mana other than Drain and Swan Song.
All right. I think I would probably put it around.
And like... Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm comes. Yeah, sorry. I always forget that one. Flusterstorm also comes before this because it is also bananas.
Yeah, it is a bananas card.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, the first 2-mana counterspell I will run after Drain. And I will run it before most other 1-mana spells.
So I kind of put it right behind regular counterspell, but I think they're probably equal in what they are pretty close.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I'd probably rank it around like currently, just because we haven't really seen this card in action and all the crazy interactions that we haven't really thought up of. I think I'll probably rank it somewhere around like I would run it before Delay. I think is probably a safe bet for now.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
I mean, this is going to be the card that people point to their Galaxy Brain plays over the next 3 months with, like Chain of Vapor was for a while.
Oh yeah,
like you're gonna do some cute stuff with Narset's Reverse in the next 6 months. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we've opined about Narset's Reversal enough for now. I think we can get back to it. But did you want to say something really quick, Wedge?
Nope, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got 2 more things to hit on our list for today. We had 2 topics from our audience. So on Twitch chat, we pulled up a poll from Facebook because this was our first time. And then we also received a email to the laboratorymaniacs at gmail.com about some questions. And we'll start with the first one, which was correctly tutoring at various stages in the game. Now, it's kind of this is one of those topics where the more you play and are familiar with competitive EDH, the more this is relevant, as well as the more you know the table that you're sitting at, the more informed of a decision you can make. So like the big things are when you sandbag a tutor, when you tutor for something that won't win you the game right away, when it's right to tutor for resources rather than to tutor for the win. Wedge, you want to start talking about that?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not the most experienced Magic player out there. I mean, but like in the context of cEDH, like when do you play your tutors? There's some pretty like kind of clear cut. The short answer is it's entirely based on the situation. The long answer is there's a ton of different situations. Things like someone slams down or somebody slams down a Remora and you're planning on doing a Vamp tutor. Vamp tutor in response to the Remora, so that way you can do things. You prevent them to draw. There's some other things like more advanced things where you want to try and take advantage of like if you're using like Mirage tutors again. Doing things like taking advantage of using like a Timna trigger to draw from like a card draw, or use like a Ristic Study trigger or a Mystic Remora trigger, and then playing your Mirage tutor so you can draw the card immediately that you plan on playing. General, but like kind of like just general rule of thumb for me when I play, I usually try to jam out like my relevant tutors like as soon as possible. I mean, but if they're at instant speed, I'll do them at end of turn. But like the rare instances where like I won't like slam like a demonic tutor for something like like early games, I'll jam like a demonic tutor for something like Mystic Remora or Mana Crypt or Carpet Flower, something that like or a combo piece, something that'll just kind of get me ahead or whatever. But if I try to go for like a combo piece, I'll like sandbag my demonic tutor, and if there's an opportunity where like it looks like I'm not gonna have any interaction being thrown at me like on that given turn, I'll save up to where I have enough mana where demonic tutor for the combo piece, then attempt to win. But there's many times where people do demonic tutor pass,
and that feels so bad.
It does. When it's like mid game or something like that. It's like, okay, well, hey, we definitely know he has flash in hand or something in hand. But yeah, what's your guys' experience with jamming tutors and when to jam them?
I'm actually in the opposite boat of you. I try to not tutor unless I'm going to use the card I'm tutoring for within a turn. And if it's a sorcery speed tutor that's like 2-hand, I am doing my best not to tutor until I can either protect my hand from some kind of hate like a wheel or whatever, or use the card.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think from a lot of the discussions I've had from different Thrasios pilots and people who play similar style decks, I play it really different. I don't know if it's stupid because I'm not a great Magic player, or if I'm the Galaxy Brain. I'm not the Galaxy Brain. I play a lot slower on those decks.
Mhm.
I will almost always try to accrue value from draw effects where possible and save off my actual tutors for when I'm in all right, time to go mode. I'll tutor, I'll cast, I'll protect, I'll win. Or well, more often than not, I'll tutor, I'll cast, I'll die to consult flips and lose. But I try not to open myself up to people's he just demonic tutored. Maybe I should like protect someone else's wheel because like I try to avoid that kind of situation by just having a grip of interaction cards and ignoring winning until I have a spot ready. So I'll hold my tutors or I'll hold my payoff cards until it smells like it might work.
Yeah. I guess I'm a bit more, I don't know. I'm a very, maybe I'm like a mid-rangey player or something, but like I like to try and progress my game plan like as fast as possible. So it's like if I don't have, if I have like a tutor in hand, and it's like I might have like one combo piece in hand, but I don't have the other, and then my choice of, or if I, depending on my table, like let's say I'm at a table full of blue players, I don't think I'm going to use my vamp tutor to tutor the other half of my combo. I think instead I'm going to jam, like I'm going to tutor for like Remora or something like that. Something that's just going to like let me just grind everything out. But obviously I'm going to play that, the same way as you are. I'm going to use it. I'm going to play that tutor the same turn I'm able to cast the spell. Usually because tutoring and then just holding onto it just seems like really not great.
It's risky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The tutor is a placeholder card.
Yeah.
So if it gets wheeled away, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, so I'm kind of in the boat where if I'm doing a sorcery speed tutor and I'm passing, usually I'm grabbing something that's going to be card advantage, and I don't care if a wheel happens because I'm just planning on wheeling next turn when I have mana to do it.
That's fair.
So for like Tasigur, one of the big things is early on getting mana out and getting some sort of like residual advantage. So very often a turn 2 demonic tutor might be just getting life from the loam, and I could care less about that getting wheeled. I actually would want it to be wheeled more often than not. So it very, very rarely will I ever demonic tutor without actually casting the spell on that turn. But when it is, it's going to be some sort of card advantage engine where I'm trying to get back into the game. Most of the time, most of the time nowadays, decks just are they're always so grindy that I'm never really tutoring for combo pieces unless I've already locked out the game somehow, or I'm going into that.
Maniacs meta.
Pretty much.
Where we're all on mid-range decks, except occasionally Siggy playing Flash Hulk.
And Luke on Gitrog.
Luke is still on mid-range Gitrog.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
He's not playing like double Titans or Turbo Frog or whatever the fuck it's called. What's the Blitz? I don't remember what the names were. But yeah, he's on slow Gitrog.
Yeah. No, it's a challenge because the games are always, they never end on turn 3 or 4 unless literally everybody mulliganed to like 6 and one person just had the nuts. So
as much as you would love that for editing purposes,
we're
not quite that bad anymore.
Yeah, no, you don't have your Multa 3 keep a Fairy Macabre wreck Siggy.
The old take 2 of us out of the game. And you can play 1v1.
But
no. I miss those plays. I have to pretend like I know what I'm doing.
I do not.
All right.
People think I'm good at EDH.
Whoa.
Man.
Yeah. Name recognition takes you so far.
Yeah. All right. I think we've hit that topic about as well as we can.
Yeah.
What I am going to do is go to our next one, which I'm going to read about 2 paragraphs here,
Okay.
and I've changed a few names so that people aren't really known. And I'm going to kind of walk us through a situation and get your guys' take on it, and I'll give mine as well, because it's kind of just feedback for somebody who's kind of getting a play group going. So Bob sent us an email, and a few months ago, he and a friend
started. Not their real names.
Yeah, not their real names, 100%. He and a friend started a play group because they couldn't do FNMs anymore, and power of the levels of the decks were all over the place. And as they've been meeting as a play group, some issues have started to come up while they play. One guy is learning, but he doesn't like listening to advice. Another does a lot of backseat driving and tells other players how to play, how they should be playing their cards. And then another player has a habit of drawing extra cards when he thinks people aren't looking. And then the 5th player is all around.
Cheaters.
Yeah, actual cheaters.
Sounds like a real winner.
Yeah. I mean, and then the 5th player is all around okay. Just he ends up being the brunt of a lot of trash talk. And so when they
mean-spirited trash talk, or like
they're just trash talking him.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably like, hey, he's the lowest on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Is the assumption.
And then when Bob started the group, some players were a lot more casual than others, and the hope was that the more casual people would learn more about Magic and want to improve their decks and kind of get up to around the 75% level that the rest of the table's at, or that the two more experienced players are. But instead of learning and improving, there's like personal feuds, there's cheating, and they're not really getting anywhere. And
interesting.
Bob is viewed as the leader, but he's never really had a play group before, so he doesn't really know how to address this situation where he's got people he's wanting to play with, but the play group's kind of taken a nosedive, and he doesn't really know how to address it with the people. And
so,
go for
one question for that is this at like an LGS, or is this like Bob's like personal like play group, like people come to his house type of deal?
My understanding is it's people coming to Bob's house.
Oh. Well, that makes things tricky. Well, that's a sticky situation.
That does add an interesting layer to this.
Yeah. Because, normally for a situation like this, if you're at an LGS, if you're dealing with someone who's like, who just plain cheats, you just don't play with them. And if you're playing with somebody who's like, I only want to play my borderline worse than precons level EDH deck, then you can either A, play a deck that's like more appropriate to their power level, or B, just not play with them and play with other people who have the same decks. But when it's like your homies that come into your house, that's
it's a touchy situation, and it's a point where kind of as a leader of the play group, you want to have a conversation with people kind of individually. One of the things that kind of sucks for Bob is he's on the higher end of the deck spectrum, so he's got the stronger stuff, he's played longer, and he was really comfortable with his decks. But and everybody else is kind of more casual, and so it ends up being a lot of arch enemy. And while that sometimes can be fun, it's not the best in the long term. You want to come back and kind of like get everybody the same level, so it's a fun game for everyone.
Yeah.
And my kind of from the start, like you can really only 100% control how you're behaving. So my initial feedback for Bob would be probably try to actually tone your deck down. Try to get it around the same level as the middle of everybody else. Don't set the top bar. Just join in with them where they're at. That's kind of an easy way to start. And then the hard part is actually going to be having a conversation with some people. And you could try doing it as a group, or you could try talking to people individually. There's a few different tactics you can do. A great way where you can do it is start a conversation, say, hey, it's fun playing with you, but I know you're doing this on a regular basis. And ask them, can you help me understand why you're doing it? and it gives them a chance to speak about it, and then you can talk about what you would like them to do, and then from there say, and if we do this, this is what I can do too. I can, if you stop drawing extra cards, I'll be more interactive with you, or we can figure out some other way to help your deck do better so that you don't need to cheat drawing extra cards. Or if you stop backseat driving everybody, maybe they will feel more invested in the game and will be wanting to play better decks or learn how to do things more. It's kind of an easy way of taking a hard situation and approaching it with people who you've got a relationship with, and you want to preserve that relationship. You want to say, hey, I mean, you're my homies. We want to have fun, but this is a problem, and it's us versus the problem, not me versus you. That sort of a situation.
Yeah, that's a definitely fair way to approach it.
In addition to the everything Cameron said, which is excellent stuff, you also do have the option of something that originally what my Sanford group's power level increase happened with. One of the guys that played with us wanted to play cEDH, but the group there didn't necessarily have the card pool or the decks for it.
Yep.
They weren't opposed to it. So he proxied up 10 cEDH decks, all completely on its own, put them in nice little boxes and said, hey, every time we play, let's have one game, just one game, where you play with one of these decks, and we'll all play with them. These are all proxied, they're all on the same power level, they're all cEDH decks, and we'll just play a game with all of these. And that's pretty much how it got everyone interested in the format. It required no investment from them. It took just one game per play group session, which with cEDH is still only like 45 minutes for a decently long game.
Right.
And it starts to get it into these people's heads that, oh, there's other ways to play, and they're actually pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the only way you play. You don't have to push just to cEDH and never go back. You can just play it like one game per session. And then maybe they want to play more on their own, and maybe they build their own deck, and then you help them make some like budget choices, and you start building up from there. But starting off with a proxy box of cEDH gives you a good way for everyone to just pick up or plug and play basically with the format and get a feel for it slowly over time by assimilating it into your natural playgroups games basically.
I can 100% agree with what Dan says. We did that at my LGS about a year or so ago. We just kind of had like 5 or 6 like cEDH proxy decks, and it's the exact same thing happens over there where it's like, hey, every once in a while they'll bust it out, and like I get to play my own competitive deck against everybody, and I get to have a good time. So it happens every once in a while, and it's actually gotten players interested in the format, or at least inspire people to want to improve their current decks using examples from those.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing that if you are doing this, I would recommend having like a 30-second to a 1-minute pitch for each of the decks and like what they're trying to do, i.e. You're looking at assembling Flash and Hulk, and then you have an instantaneous win with these 3 cards, so make sure they're not in your hand. Or you're looking at playing early stacks pieces into Teferi to assemble Chain Veil Teferi and 5 mana amongst non-land, or 5 mana amongst 3 mana sources. And then they have a target to hit to, and once they get there, it's really easy to walk them to the win, and you're just kind of like working through it together. And it's a really fun, interactive way of doing it.
The caveat to all of that is don't build decks that you have no idea how to play. You as the box provider need to be intimately familiar with how every single deck in your box works. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart when you run into something you don't know and they don't know, and you just kind of look stupid, and they're like, I don't really get this deck. I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
And then you may have just lost it.
Yeah.
Because it's fragile at first.
Yeah. And if you're playing the top end decks, if you assemble a nice box where you've got a good variety, you also have primers that you can look up, and you can learn those fairly easily. If you're playing something that's like niche, or it's just kind of like a spice brew, it's gonna be janky, and it's gonna be a little bit harder for them to pick up. From the get-go, from casual EDH to competitive EDH, you have probably only 30 to 40 cards in a deck that they are going to have seen on a regular basis. Sometimes it's a bit more. I mean, your lands are going to be the thing that they're probably going to know the most, but they're not going to necessarily know all of the counter spells, or what you're tutoring for, or things like that. And so having just that intro and giving them a chance to actually look through the deck to kind of get an idea is definitely worth the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully those suggestions will help. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Wedge?
I just pretty much, I gotta agree with pretty much everything that Cameron said. Try to talk to the people that are having problematic issues. Try to get from their side of the view, their point of view, why they're doing this, or help to help understand why they're doing it, and just and again, bring having a lower power deck to kind of play with, the people who want to play with, who want to play that power level. I mean, because that's the thing, if these are your personal friends that are coming over to your house, or you're going to their house or whatever, it's like, and they just don't want to, they don't want to power up, or they don't want to power down or something. It's either, your options are, try to meet their level, or sometimes just not play at times. So it's like, if you want to enjoy your play group and make the best out of the experience, then I agree. Maybe powering down your deck might be a good solution for some of those issues.
Yeah, that's good. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Actually, Wedge, I've got a question for you. I've had 3 people thus far ask me about Birthing Pod. I know they really appreciated your work on Birthing Pod. And I know you have said there's some challenges with that. Do you want to respond regarding what's the current state of Birthing Pod?
So Birthing Pod is currently on an indefinite hiatus. Right now, the 3 of us we're all kind of in the throes of life, with jobs, families, school, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of the 3 of us making more podcasts or more content, it's to be determined. But do I want to keep making content stuff? Absolutely, I definitely want to do stuff, and kind of get stuff out there. So maybe you might see in the future, maybe you might see some little indie projects or solo Wedge stuff where maybe I might interview somebody, or talk about a deck, or just something you might see more maybe something along those lines. But seeing all 3 of us, probably not very likely with our schedules. So yeah, it's sad, but it's just the way things are.
Real life is constantly getting in the way of us doing things.
Yeah.
So but we do. But the thing is, all 3 of us, we do want to make more content. That's our goal. But it's if we have the time to do it, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Good response, and I 100% understand the situation. We may have been going through that a lot ourselves.
But also, I have to I can't stress this enough. ASM, he has been the backbone of our whole Birthing Pod operation, and without him, we wouldn't have podcasts. We wouldn't have had any of this stuff. He's the Cameron in our lives. And it's when he is less busy as well, I will be very excited.
Yeah, I can't wait for Cameron to get fired and not be in school anymore, so he can just focus on Lab Maniacs like he should be doing.
Yeah.
That might not work.
No. All right. Well, I think we are coming up just at the end. And The last few things to talk about are if we have anything interesting coming up. I know we've got War of the Spark review that should be coming up here next week. We've got deck tech for Shuffle Hulk that should be coming out soon as well. We will have another gameplay episode in May for sure. And Dan or
on
Wedge,
Twitch, there's a bunch coming up.
Dan is doing a bunch of stuff on Twitch, which is also pretty cool.
A week from today, we have our next patron stream. That is a Thursday, not a Friday, because we're accommodating some of our patrons who don't have the exact same schedule of always going to be free on Friday in the evening, because believe it or not, schedules are different.
Yes.
So we're doing our first Thursday patron stream to accommodate a longtime patron, Mr. Smurs. We are on, actually before then, on Saturday, like 2 days from now, at 2-ish, maybe 3, I'm doing my budget ramp stream with Timmy again. And I believe Timmy mentioned there's going to be some giveaway prizes that we're doing in chat. Some foils of budget cEDH lands that we talked about in the last one.
Nice.
Don't worry, Josh. Spots filled up, but I'll get you next time on our stream. What else are we doing? So that's the budget stream. That's the patron stream. I am streaming... Oh God, did I forget the day? On the one of these days, I am streaming Vintage with the same Smurs. We're going to be jamming 3 different decks each. We're going to be jamming a real deck, a fringe deck, and a shit mean brew deck.
Nice.
So we're going to have some fun Vintage games coming up. And just to give a broad overview, this stream schedule is going to repeat every month. We're going to have a patron stream for cEDH. We're going to have a budget cEDH theory stream. We're going to have a month in review stream. We're going to have a variety stream that's going to be like us doing things with patrons, be that vintage, be that casual EDH, something. And soon, I don't know if it's in May or if it's in June, we are going to be kicking off our monthly patron D&D stream, where you will be able to join me and Luke and a host of patrons playing D&D on Roll20. And I think we're going to set up like some little face cams or some dice cams for real. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing for that, but there's some good stuff coming.
I think Roll20's got your dice covered, so just do the face cams.
Yeah, we might do that.
Yeah.
Either way, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that is slowly getting rolled into our monthly Twitch presence. I'm aiming to have in a year or so at least 2 streams weekly of different content, but I can't promise how much that's going to work because I'm still, trying to get a PhD.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Busy boys.
But we'll at least be at weekly streams in a few months.
Now, I didn't mention this, but Dan and I will both be at SCGCon. So this will be the first time that Lab Maniacs have actually met each other in person. So I will be flying out to North Carolina, South Carolina, Raleigh
Airport.
Yes, and then Dan and I are going to be doing a 3-hour drive out to
Blacksburg, Virginia.
Blacksburg, yep. And we're going to have fun there.
I'm taller than everyone else, Gates.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite older. Cobble has me there.
That man has children.
He does. So we'll be there, and then also, at least myself and Dan are going to be in Vegas. We're trying to see if we can get Luke there.
Did I hear rumblings of a crossover episode?
Yes, we may have other groups with us there.
Interesting. It's almost like content creators go to Vegas for these things.
Yeah. So we actually have a house already booked for Vegas. It's a little bit off. It's like a 10-15 minute drive from the convention center, but we've got like a house that can fit 10 people that we've already got booked.
What's the event that's happening there?
That's
Magic Fest Vegas
in August. Yeah, the big one.
The one that people go to. Like everybody.
Yes.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about that.
And we're going, so we might actually be somebody finally.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Maybe. No promises.
Wedge, do you have anything in your side of the things you're going to? Any Magic Fest or?
You know, now that there's been talk that people are going to Magic Fest Vegas, I kind of want to go to that now.
Oh, do it!
It's in August. You have planning time.
I have ample time.
Yeah.
Wait, can we get Wedge into our house? Wait, no, we.
That can be discussed another time if necessary. But no worries. Yes. I can make my way to Vegas if necessary. But yeah, no, I don't really have any plans on attending any Magic Fest except for that one now. So
hey, all right. Yeah. Well, unless anybody else wants to say anything else, I think what we are going to do is, everybody that's with us, we are going to raid somebody who's actually streaming cEDH right now.
Is Luke on stream with Scotty, by the way?
You know, I'm not too sure. Okay. He might be. I think he might be.
I saw him talking about it. He's been trying to find people.
So what we're going to do is we are going to be moving on over to Scotty Knows Mtg. Scott is a mod on Play EDH, and he's got a Thursday night stream. So
fantastic.
We're going to bounce on over there. And everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Wedge, thank you for being an amazing guest on our very first episode.
It was super fun.
Thank you. I always love every content you come join us on, Wedge.
Thank you. It's always fun talking with you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you. And everybody in chat and everybody who watches us on a VOD, thank you. Thanks for all the support, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.